Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Mac, and yeah, I said it. You see the title: a black man's word versus a white man's word. Uh, and I came up with this topic because of what just happened with Juwan Howard, but not only with Juwan Howard, because I started to see a common denominator when not only with Juwan Howard, but with Brian Flores and also with Antonio Brown. And that common denominator is that their word against that white man's word is practically non existent. So now we have to look even further into this investigation that they're doing into the sports arena, period, all the way across the board when it comes down to the racial biases. Because you saw what Guard said, that's the coach of Wisconsin. He got up there on that podium and lied right off the bat. He lied, talking about Juwan Howard came up and poked him in his chest, and that's when it all. That's an absolute lie. I said I went back and I made sure that I watched the video over and over again, even in slow motion, so that I didn't miss anything. And as they were coming through the line, Juwan Howard pulled his mask down a little bit, and he stated something to that man, and then that man grabbed his arm and like pushed him to be like, "Hey, listen to me." And that's when Juwan Howard started to get irate because that man should have never put his hands on him. Coach Guard, you should have never put your hands on Juwan Howard. Yeah. But then he gonna get up there in the post conference and tell a bold faced lie. Gonna tell an absolute bold faced lie. And so my thing is, if you're gonna lie, make sure there's no video that's going to contradict your lie. But even still, even with the video, we know that we are guilty until proven innocent. And that's exactly what they're doing to Jawan Howard right now. The same thing that they did to Antonio Brown. Brian Flores is a little bit different, but the only similarity that I give for that is that Brian Flores is his word against the white man's word. And that's the owner of the Miami Dolphins. So that's why I threw him in the scenario. But we're going to talk about Juwan Howard right now. And my thing with this is, yeah, Juwan Howard, he, I'm not going to say that he was right for hitting that man, but if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Now, the person that Juwan Howard put his hands on wasn't even the same person who initially grabbed him. But like Juwan Howard was explaining, like Coach Howard was explaining, that this is what escalated everything. By Coach Guard coming up and putting his hands on that man, then Coach Guard escalated that situation into what it was. And so even with the tape, even with the video, we still see that this coach will sit up there and tell an absolute lie, and the media will shape and mold that lie into what they want it to be because that's the narrative that they want to push of Coach Howard being a angry, hostile man, which he has been in a few mix-ups here and there. He's been in a few, I ain't gonna say scuffles, but he's been in some altercations and some arguments in the past, which does not look good for him on this scale. And so, okay, we'll give you that, but at the same time, let's not sit here and act like Coach Guard does not deserve some type of reprimand as well. If Coach Howard is going to be suspended, or whatever, Coach Guard need to be suspended too for putting his hands on Coach Howard because he never should have put his hands on him for no reason at all. Period. And then you see Antonio Brown is dealing with the same thing because it's his word against Bruce Arians. And we saw how Bruce Arians sit there and he eluded every question, being vague and very condescending because he know he was telling an absolute lie. And when AB came in and told his side, he didn't stutter once, he didn't beat around the bush, and he was very specific in what he explained. So for you to sit there and try to still build that narrative about him being the bad guy, it just means that you see what you want to see and you hear what you want to hear. So let's not play these games like we're in an age where things are equal now. No, there's still those racial biases. There's still that racial tension within sports, and it's not gonna get gone overnight. We know this is stuff that we're gonna have to fish out. It's kind of like when you go hunting and you have a dog who runs out and he runs the rabbit up out of the hole, he runs the squirrel out of the hole. We're gonna have to chase some of this stuff. We're gonna have to go down some rabbit holes and flesh some of this stuff out in order for us to deal with it. But the thing is, we have to start. We have to start somewhere. And no, there's no better time than now to start, because if we don't put an end to it now, it's only going to get worse, and it's only going to get more deeply enrooted into sports. And so that's where we are right now. So who's willing to stand up? Who's willing to who's willing to who's willing to be able who's willing to risk their career, I should say, like Brian Flores was. Because this is one thing about Brian Flores. Brian Flores had no qualms about risking his career. That was something that he made up in his mind before he even went to do what he did. Before he even came out to the media, that is what he did. He made it up in his mind. He counted up the cost, and he even stated that this will probably cost me my career. But if my career will make it easier or better or more fair for somebody else to get into that position, then so be it. That's what I'm gonna do. And so this is the mindset that we're going to have to take. This is the type of courage that we're going to have to take. Shout out to my brother, Reverend Tony. Man, he introduced me to some literature last night, and what the writer has said in this literature is that the Western world has lost its civil courage. And I thought that that was a very, very profound thing for somebody from the outside looking in to say, because it's absolutely true. It's absolutely spot on 100%. And I know from my end that, you know, there's certain things that we're going to have to be willing to give up in order to move forward, in order to gain progress in the movement. But there's a lot of us who are not willing to let go of some things of the world because we become so attached to these things, and these things have become so convenient to us. But you're going to have to be able to say, I'm willing to give that up because I see the bigger picture. So are you willing to do that? Who's willing to do that? These are the people who are keeping the movement going. These are the people who know what sacrifice means. So if you're not willing to sacrifice anything, then I beg to differ with you when you say that you are down for the struggle. You're not down for the struggle. If you're not willing to give up anything, then you're not down for nothing. Everybody that went down range with me to Iraq, they was willing to give up their life. And I was willing to give up my life for them. And I fought tooth and nail to make sure that those people was covered and those people straight, because that's what you do. This is no different. This is a war as well. So if you're not willing to lay it down for the cause and for the people, then I don't want you by my side. You're not my battle buddy, and you're not somebody that I'm going to trust in battle. And so now we go back to Brian Flores, because I wanted to go ahead and bring him in. The whole situation with him, he gave up a position of status, you know, and now he's been taken on in Pittsburgh, and so that's good. He's with Coach Coughlin. And I think, well, I'm not going to speculate on anything. I have my own personal thoughts about that, but I'll just keep that to myself until things unfold, and then, just go from there. But yeah, the whole point that I wanted to make this morning is that we continue to see these racial biases throughout sports,
and there's no denying it. And so when you understand that these things are still going at the rate at which they're going, then that means that we have an urgency in what we have to do as far as fighting against this, because this mindset is a cancer not only to the league, it's a cancer to the people as well. And so our racial biases don't stop whenever we go into sports or whenever we go into the military or whenever we go into whatever echelon you want to talk about. When I say that racism is woven into the fabric of the flag, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Every auxiliary, every faction of the United States has racism woven into it. So when I say that the stitching on the flag, every stitching on that flag is racism, that's exactly what it is. There's no way that you can be in the United States and get away from racism or classism in some way, shape, or form. And this is what needs to be dealt with. So how do we end that? Well, there's a source of it. There's always an ultimate source to something. So you have to get rid of that source. Think about that for a second. I had to pause and let you think about that. So this is where I'm at with it. We have to get to the source and we have to exterminate the source. And whatever that means to whoever, it is what it is. Don't nobody put no words in my mouth about it, but that's what I just said. Yeah, I said it. We have to exterminate the source. So wherever the source is, if you're not a part of that, then if it don't fly, I mean, if it don't apply, let it fly. But if you know that you're a part of the source that is fueling this racism, then you should be on high alert. I'm gonna just leave it at that. This is your boy D Mac. Y'all know what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word will always hear you. I'm out.